The very intellect, we have an intellect, no doubt. We are conscious human beings. And Eastern wisdom and even the science also says that intellect is nearest to our Eastern wisdom says that intellect is nearest to our real nature. So when I live near the mountains, every chance, then I feel coolness. The impact is always there. You see, that impact of the real self is always there. And then take an example of the mind is constantly bombarded by the objects that we receive from the sense organs. And because the mind continues to receive these objects, there is every chance the impurity in the mind, the delusion in the mind. So, to rescue the mind from that delusion, we have to take help of the intellect. Huh? We have to take the help of the intellect. Now, this intellect is mostly sleeping. This intellect is mostly sleeping in majority of the people. I may be a genius in a scientific discovery, but that intellect which wants to separate real from the unreal is sleeping. You see that? So that is why the modern psychologist says the genius is the form of insanity. There is a very famous proverb, I may be highly professional. Uh, I have a billions of dollars that I earned because of my intellect, because of my hard work. At the same time, when I return home, I start fighting. You see that there are many examples, are there? So when this intellect is awakened, if I say so, what is the meaning of the intellect is awake? Now the intellect has the power. It has the power to choose. It has many options, but the mind says no. Mind is obsessed, mind is in delusion, mind is running after a desire, and the mind goes to the intellect. It says you have only one option, either love this girl or suffer. You know what kind of an option we have? Is this really an option? We never think it because you don't think it, so intellect is not working. You see that? You see that? Intellect is not working. So that is why Shankara uses the word Manisha. So he's not using the word IQ. He should have used. He has written after, he was a great genius, but with the sanity, not with the insanity, not with the madness, but with the wisdom. That is what the Eastern wisdom is. So any intellect, that when the intellect gives you that deeper insight of the real, it becomes Manisha. When that same intellect gives you a deeper insight of the objective world, then you are a genius and you have a greater IQ. Yeah, you see that. So intellect is the same, but its working is different. So remember again that intellect is sharpened, becomes Manisha if Sadhan Chatushtaya is there in my life. Viveka, Vairagya, uh, and Shat Sampatti, six treasures in my, and ultimately I have a desire for liberation. Because if the intellect does not support, the Viveka will not be there. See that. And if the I do not think, then the intellect will not support me. Then it is the mind. See the very subtle point here. So entire Eastern wisdom and all of our masters says that you think, what is the purpose of your life? Who am I? What is this world after all? Are you suffering? Yes, I'm suffering. Do I experience permanent peace and happiness? No. So are you ready to think? Pain and the suffering comes by default. Peace and happiness, love and wisdom is a matter of a choice. Choice comes when I think clear. When I think, I use the intellect. And when I separate real from the unreal, it becomes viveka. And you see, that viveka, you reach to a point that viveka naturally brings vairagya, the dispassion. I need not to do anything. I need not to do anything. I'm obsessed with the phone. Okay. So that is in the mind. Now I start thinking, what is the utility of the phone? Why there is an obsession? So ultimately, I come to a point, this phone is different from me. I am the knower, and the phone is an object, and it is a matter. The matter cannot see itself, matter cannot know myself. So hence, the matter does not contain that happiness. So now I need not to think that I have to get rid of the smartphone, I have to throw it out. I have not to renounce the world. I have not to renounce the world. I have not to leave anything and have anything in the world outside. So that intellect helps you. Where lies the problem inside the mind? It treats that. The mind becomes pure. So you are living with everything and still you are unattached. That is the beauty. That is the beauty of the journey of meditation, Viveka. So, what happens in Viveka? You are 100% right, the way you have explained. In Viveka, we think and we think and we contemplate and we reflect. That is why I always break up that contemplation and reflection. So, contemplation, reflection is purely a thinking. So, first is the thinking, and then we start sharpening the intellect. What is the meaning of sharpening the intellect now? Let us go a little deeper. The mind, because of its impurities and constantly hitting the intellect, it has created lot of impression in the intellect. So then the intellect thinks by default, by habit. It has taken the instinct as if I have thought of it. It has taken an impulse as if I have thought of it. No, I have to rethink. I have to think. Reference point is, what is the reference point? Real and unreal. What is the reference point? Shreyas and the prayers. So the moment that Shreyas and the prayers comes to my mind, I already have a phone. It is working. Why should I upgrade and update? Finished. Contemplation part. Now the reflection removes the doubt that peace and happiness cannot be acquired by acquiring, possessing, owning, using the phone, because happiness is within me. So, so the intellect removes the doubt, and the moment that doubt is removed, not only viveka is awakened, but also vairagya takes place. I'm changing the. Yeah, you raised that topic, so I should go deeper into that rather than then we will take up other part later. So now see that viveka. What is the meaning of viveka in the intellect? We are going a little deeper again. Now, we have got a viveka. We have found real and unreal, right? And the mind is calm. But if I understand clearly what exactly is viveka in the intellect or in the manisha, then what will happen? Then I will come to know how to apply that in day to day life.
No,
What is
Viveka is capability to uh, see difference between the real and unreal.
unreal? But
So
what
it
is my
always compare with I, with
but
real self.
real self? But what is my experience of viveka in the intellect? So that that intellect will pass on the experience to the mind, to the sense organ, and living my day to day life. I have understood at the thought level. This is viveka, real and unreal, pain and the pleasure, everything is there. Everything
It
is there. But
it means
what? Yeah.
act without any plan, any thoughts, any thinking. So immediately,
No, so now first definitely the you can say that viveka and the vairagya and leads us to a point of or a state of consciousness where there is a clarity, where there is a peace, where there is a calmness, but how all of them is translating into my day-to-day life. I have a viveka inside. You look at your wife. Question is, what thought should be there?
no thoughts.
No, no thought, then you are not talking to your wife. Wife will say, are you crazy? Leave meditation. See that?
But
Leave
it,
meditation.
it should be talking without no thinking, but it depend of the what is ex,
It depends
what
on the,
is come from the outside.
yes, it
So you
depends
have to
on
just
the,
like mirror reflect for everything around.
yeah, it depends on the mirror. So, how that mirror should reflect my viveka in day to day life? Go deeper. Go deeper. Okay, I'm in peace. I'm in total calmness. There are no thoughts. And wife say, "Do you want a cup of coffee?" And you say,
It,
"No, my mind is totally empty." The
it,
wife
it
will
should
say,
be casual. What you say is be casual.
"Be casual." Yes, that is what we have discussed before. Now see that in Viveka, the first thing that the intellect understand and it remains indifferent. What is that indifference? It finds equanimity. It finds equality between the two sides. Whether you are talking to a wife or anyone in the world, you find the equanimity of intellect means the intellect is not taking any side. Take one example. Do you want coffee? You're not taking any side in the mind. And just out of the play, you say, yes, I'll take it. No, I don't take it. The mind, the intellect still remains in Manisha. It does not drop down into mind, preferences, liking, disliking. Now, when you do the practice like this, then what will happen? The mind has accumulated millions of impressions to escape from the pain and to get attracted to the pleasure. in day to day life. Now I have to treat both of them with equanimity. It doesn't mean that I shouldn't treat my pain. It doesn't mean that I should get obsessed with the pleasure. None of them. But I maintain the equanimity. So the time comes, what happens? That mental experience of the duality and the conflict slowly melts away. It purifies your mind. And you are working day to day, neither grief nor pleasure. There's women whose mother died recently, and first email she sent, "It is all done. I am okay." And I realized that she is not okay. When you say it is all done, who has done it? Existence has done it. Birth and death belongs to them. Who the hell you are to say that it is already done? It means your intellect says, it is not clear, that it says, it is all done. Now I have not to go to the mom in assisted living and have to help her. And I knew that it will backfire. So after 3 weeks, she wrote to me, "I feel lonely." It is all done. With reference to the problems I was facing to take care of the mom, and I was thinking, my mom was thinking that now I have lived enough, I should go. Clarity in the intellect, but the mind did not find that equanimity in day to day life. So then I talked to her. We had a wonderful session, and I said how the Viveka should translate into day to day life. So, as a thought, it will return equanimity, indifferent. I remain equal to pain and pleasure, pain and pleasure, pain and pleasure, pain and pleasure, profit and loss, duality and a conflict. Now question comes, when I already have a Viveka, I already live in Manisha, I have already understood that, this world is a play and a fun. I remain casual, that is also okay. So what is preventing me to reach to that higher state of meditation?
Nothing.
So if it is nothing, I'm already there. If there is anything, I am not there. So our master says it is our sanskaras, vasanas that we have discussed before. That vasana, trillions of uh, sanskaras. But we are going little deeper.
Can we make step back and discuss cup of coffee? Somebody propose me cup of coffee, and
First, I become aware there is a sense of equanimity.
so I should feel that for me there is no difference to take coffee or not take coffee.
Or not to take, because I don't see happiness is in the coffee. But
Ye-
now the second step, I have been taking the coffee. Body has a habit.
Yeah,
Sanskaras, the
sounds.
body has a habit. Sanskar. So I say yes, or I say no. Both means the same thing to me.
This point is not clear for me.
This point
Because,
is
for example, if I try to contemplate about it, the situation in which my body need coffee, my body don't need coffee. If my body is sleepy and I won't be fresh, it means that I depend from my body. It
yes,
means I connected with my body. So
you
coffee
take
is not
it, but don't create any impression in the mind. Take it. But if the body is always subjected to coffee, then it is a problem. Then it is a sanskara. We have three types of sanskaras. First sanskara, we find fault in us and others. So I have found fault in myself or my body that it needs coffee, hence I should take it. Sanskaras. Now we are going little deeper into the modus operandi of sanskaras, if you say. So first is we find uh, finding fault in us and in others. It is coming from the very thought process. Second is pleasure and pain, profit and loss, feeling of wholeness within us is not there. Second is pleasure and pain. And third is feeling of wholeness, completeness is not there. Because the feeling of completeness is not there, that is why I have not reached to that state, what is known as awakening. Three faults. First, finding fault in us and others. Any thought, any speech, any action causes suffering is the first category. Thought, feeling, and so because my body is feeling sleepy, hence I have been in the habit of taking it, I say yes with reference to the sleepiness. This should go like this. Okay, I bought a beautiful gift for you, my honey, but deeper inside I have something is cooking inside in my mind. My intention is somewhere. So I see that that is I'm seeking pleasure and pain, the second category. Third is my intellect, manisha, or the mind is yet to reflect the sense of wholeness. So when I see the sense of wholeness, coffee, yes, I'll take it. My master used to say, coffee, okay, bring it. Make coffee for everyone. I will also take it. No coffee today. No worries. So I'm not dependent on it, you know. Now see that we are going little deeper. So what happens? Viveka is already there in the intellect. It has to translate into the body and the mind and in my day-to-day working. Patanjali says Abhinivesh in five klesha, five causes of suffering. He uses the avidya, asmita, rag, dvesh, abhinivesh, avidya, ignorance, attraction, repulsion, and then ego sense, and at last he says abhinivesha. Abhinivesha, yearning desire to live, but do not know why to live. There was a young guy who came to my master and he said, so what are you doing? No, I'm studying. Why you study? To get a certificate. Why do you want a certificate? To get
yeah,
a job. You know that. So when you but then master stopped in between and he said, okay, to earn money. But why you want to earn money? And here he gave a break. He said, okay, I will give you a money, but don't allow you to spend it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Abhinivesha. So what is there? What is the ultimate want? Happiness. I will give you happiness here and now. Are you ready? No. Desire. Abhinivesh. So that is another example of Abhinivesh. I am attached. So Abhinivesh means an extreme obsession to the body. Understand? Be very clear. I think you will pick up. Nivesh. Nivesh means to live into that, live into the body. This is the fault of the mind. Abhi means totally. So there two things happens. First, I live in the body. That much is okay. We can take care of it. When I live in the body, I can come out of the body. But by the unconscious force of the mind, for all practical purposes, my mind is still living in ignorance, claiming I am the body. And that is Abhinivesh. That is Abhinivesh. So this Abhinivesh is still there. We need to get rid of it. Even again by Manisha, we know what is real and unreal. We know everything. Now we bring that wisdom, that viveka into the body. Did I tell you that, the great Tantra masters used to practice? They closed their eyes. They said, okay, my right hand is cut from my whole body and it is thrown 1 mile away. Left hand, 2 mile away. My head and the neck, 3 miles away. My right leg, huh? 50 feet away. Left leg, where I am, I am still there. I am still there. And then those masters, you say that, that right hand was 2 miles away, is jumping, and now by force, it is stuck to this body, stuck this here, and the whole body is there. Again, do it. So what happened? That I am the body is broken. That notion is broken completely. Now ask the question, do you want coffee? Do you want? Now, nobody ask you and bring a cup of coffee and say, no, it is for you. Okay, thank you very much. Very good. And that is what, I wanted to make you understand. I met, they are known as aghoris in Tantra tradition.
Mm.
So this guy was lying on the bank of a Ganges river, and I and two of my friends, we saw them. He was as if, his breath was moving, and he was just lying as if he's dead. Lot of flies were moving around, very dirty. So we thought, definitely this guy is a guru. He's not moving at all. If you are conscious, obviously, you will throw those flies away. So they do not consider purity and impurity are different. Viveka, equanimity, they reach to that extreme. Nothing to be done. So we took them with our hand, we cleaned him, and after 2 days, he woke up. He said, I know what you were talking, that I'm a Ghori, yes. And you realize that, you wanted something from me. So he said to all of us, we were four of us, that you get rid of this duality. That is the second level: pleasure, pain, hate, love, likes and dislikes. So they practice to get away with the likes and dislikes, living in extreme impurity. They don't like they want to see if their nose is equal in having a fragrance of a rose and the smell of a restaurant. They don't want to. So that's an extreme way of doing it. So here we are doing it by the understanding, by intellect, by knowledge, by asking the manisha to go to the body. Huh? Abhinivesha, that is what is the first level. The second level, rag dvesha, attachment and detachment are like pendulum. It will continue to move. That we have already understood. The third level is the ego sense. But now this ego sense is also attached to the body, abhinivesh. How? I'm bigger than you. I'm smarter than you. I'm wealthier than you. I know more than you. You see that? So we convert that consciousness into different shape, size, quality, duality. That is the biggest problem, and that is a stumbling block for going deeper into the meditation. Because I is already there in the body. I gave you two examples. So, so those you who are great seekers, you just said, imagine. No, we normally dream that I have a big mansion, I have the luxury car, I have Y1, but I have five Ys. So now this Aghori says that now my right hand is 2 miles away from it. It is cut by someone left, and the whole body is fragmented. It is crushed. It is buried deep inside. What? But I am there. Who is this I am? One way to do this. And the second way, again, the Manisha has to work here because you are using the mind, the same mind which is craving for pleasure. For what? Pleasure for the body. And now the same mind is using, okay, first understand the body and then we will go for the pleasure. So the second part comes, the I-ness is also deeply attached to this body. I'm big, small, high, low, wealthy, enjoyer, doer, owner, all with reference to the body. You see that? Huh? So we have to get rid of this ignorance also by manisha, by regular contemplation and reflection. Now we should also understand one more part. What causes abhinivesha? Due to birth and death. See that? You see, every principle is linked together. That is what manisha takes us. Abhinivesha means causes suffering, clear. But why it causes suffering? Due to birth and death. Why raga desha? Raga dvesha in the world causes friends and enemies, likes and dislikes. So I have to get rid of this from the mind. Ego sense. Ego sense causes insult, appreciation, power, possession, and ignorance causes not knowing what I am. That is in the end. So the moment I know who am I, then that I keeps the manisha 24 by 7. It is spontaneous, it is natural, it gives you the befitting response all the time in every situation. At present, behind the Manisha, still there is a very subtle ego sense and ignorance is there. So behind that Manisha, let the real self play our role. Clear? Now going lead. So we need to have what our master says, we need to have dharma buddhi. Buddhi, dharma manisha means dharma manisha. Dharma nothing to do with the religion. So what happens with the dharma buddhi? Dharma manisha. So manisha has now four types. Manisha with the dharma decreases attachment to the body. Vairagya manisha decreases raga and dvesha, removes it. Right? Knowing my real nature removes ego sense. Dharma buddhi, dharma manisha, vairagya manisha, and you can say also, and you can add upasana manisha, jnana manisha. Upasana means you are choosing a god and you are meditating on a god. We have meditated on a Shiva. So I see Shiva. I have seen Shiva through my sense organ. I see the image of the Shiva. First part of this Manisha. But that Manisha takes me behind the image in the shape of the Manisha. That Shiva is all pervading peace, happiness, auspiciousness. You see that? That is why I gave you a brief practice of Om Namah Shivaya. Huh? So you see behind. It doesn't mean that you don't see the Shiva. You also see the Shiva. But behind that Shiva, you ask the mind that Shiva is all pervading. How the body can be all pervading? So you ask the mind to live in the two transactional world outside and inner world of reality together. When I say, for example, this cross is all pervading, that very cross is not all pervading. Cross symbolically takes me to the all pervading consciousness. Shiva takes me to that all pervading one consciousness behind. Example, Bill Gates takes me to a person who has the greatest, who is the richest guy on the earth. Is he a richest with two eyes? I have also the two eyes. I have the same human frame as Bill Gates. So this is a device. This is a practice to break the chain of limitedness in the mind. Because if the limitedness is not broken in the mind, this mind will again crave for something. A little, very little deeper, very advanced, but I thought that let me give you that idea so that you can contemplate and reflect. So when we say asmita, we have covered that abhinivesh part. Huh? So abhinivesh part. Now, so abhinivesh part causes, loosens the knot with the body. Now what we say dharma. When we use the word dharma, you can say it is a discipline and education of the mind. That is one way you can say it. And when you discipline and educate the mind with reference to the manisha, now this mind starts dissolving the past impression. It never becomes impulsive, instinctive, and habitual. You enter into the state of kindness, calmness, peace, and happiness. You are, in fact, by the dharma manisha, you are moving the mind from the natural state. Default state of the mind in the world is what? What is the default state of the mind? What every human being on the earth in every country does. Oh, I have a beautiful, handsome son. Grow it. Teach him some religion. Educate him. When he is 16, 17, push him to do a job. Get married. Have kids. So our mind is constantly living in that circle. My parents taught me, I teach my kids, and my kids teach me his kids. So that is a very deep social cultural condition. So Dharma Manisha says that you have to think and contemplate what is the purpose of human life. That is why the concept has come. Where is that concept come? That concept says, I know you are very handsome in this birth, but do you know your previous birth, who you were? What is going to happen in your next birth? So, what is changing? Body is changing. Are you your body? No. So, by constant contemplation, by the dharma manisha, you start losing attachment, clinging to the body. That is the role of the dharma manisha. So, in that reference, dharma is a tapa, discipline and education of the mind to break those conditioning, social, cultural, and other conditioning. I told you my father died, uncle died, grandfather died, one year after the other. So in 5 years, five people died. I became the oldest. My aunt and my older people in my relations approached me. There is a bad omen in your house. Now next year you are going to die. So I went to my teacher. Who is going to die? Body is going to die. Body has to die. Body will die. Take care of the body with a sense of purity. Continue your journey. Don't fall back into these. He was teaching Dharma Manisha. Dharma Manisha. huh? Dharma Manisha. So that idea never goes into the head of the people. You can ask your friends and colleagues. They are so much obsessed with the same pleasure, the same body. A little pain in the body becomes a huge pain. I had one friend in New Jersey. So he had an acute pain in the one teeth, and he went to the doctor. Doctor said we will take autopsy, and ultimately they rooted out the two tooth, and because they removed the two teeth, he still has a problem. It should not have been done. It was improper diagnosis. And a small pain. He was wealthy. He spent almost $30,000. So sometimes the small suffering continues, and that causes, because of the deep attachment with the body, don't have the dharma manisha. Now understand two things more. In a religious conditioning, When you follow a particular religion cult, they also do it. Previously, it was a wonderful discipline, but now it has become more a problem, a cult. In Christianity, we say baptism.
Yeah.
In Hindu, we say put a sacred thread. My father put a sacred thread in a big ceremony. So we are not talking of those things because that put us down. We are using the manisha here. We are not using any other tools from outside. Ultimately, baptism means, you read from the Bible, you will, as the Jesus has taken a rebirth, resurrection, and on that particular day, he reappeared. He is the Son of the God. And similarly, we do the same thing in every religion. But here, what we are doing, we are saying refine your intellect so that it will continue to influence your mind. You are baptized on one day, you remember a week, after that, you forget, you start doing the same thing again and again, you are totally obsessed. But with the Manisha, you have to remain alert all the time. You are doing it 24 by 7. You see the beauty? Dharma Manisha. So it has nothing to do with huh? Cult, dogma, belief in the religion. We use that. Dharma. So dharma life. Dharma life means huh, that I enlighten the intellect. I ask the intellect to see this body. It removes your ego sense too much. And as we approach knowing our real nature, it drops the ignorance. And once it drops the ignorance, I reflect my real nature, that real nature, uh, working behind, all present behind, not working behind the intellect, working behind the manisha. It keeps you always free from raga and dvesha, attachment with the body. And now you know how to your yeah. That guy was saying he's doing it regularly, and he said my wife was saying that my voice has become softer, more deeper. Do you realize that? I said yes. It is going to happen. It is going to bring lot of changes. Lot of changes. Now see, last point is also very important. We did talk about Viveka leads to Vairagya. Vairagya. So, Gita, Krishna uses the word anasakti. Anasakti. Literally, it means unattached. So, what monks do, what Buddha did, Buddha, no doubt, was a great master, but on one hand, there are masters who never left their house. They became unattached internally. They had not to leave the kingdom. So when you have to leave the kingdom, you have to leave everything. You do not possess and own anything. You become a monk, you become a sannyasa. No doubt that helps. It helped Buddha. Later on, he became a monk. But there are hundreds of masters who said, what the kingdom, wealth, women has done to me, they do not run after me to stick to me. So I have to see who causes this attachment in me. It is the mind. So can I change that intellect so that the intellect does not run after, does not push the mind to run after the object? So that process is known as anasakti, unattached. So at a understanding level, there's a difference. Unattached, we start with the Manisha. Becoming a monk, leave everything. How much money you have, give it to me. Why? Because you have to become a monk. So that causes lot of confusion in the mind of a people. Oh, I have to leave everything. Then I have to become a monk. Then it is better to live with the money. I'm enjoying my pleasure. So that creates a lot of confusion. That creates a lot of confusion. So here
I
comes, we are going deeper. So here comes unattached. So we should understand. The understanding is there that this object, this wealth is not causing the problem because the wealth does not know itself. It is not conscious. I am conscious of the wealth. So there is some element of the mind that is causing the attachment. And why it is causing the attachment? Rag, dvesha, attachment, inclination to the body, the same. Abhinivesha. Now I ask and I do the practice couple of times every day. What is that? Hmm, nature, very existence and the nature gives us a clue that you can be 100% unattached, detached naturally. And we do it every day. In deep sleep, we are not attached to the body, not attracted to any object in the world. We never think we are big or wealthy. We never think we are poor. We never think we are male or female. So, few times a day, even for 5 minutes, fake that you are in deep sleep to the mind. That is another practice in Tantra. Fake, totally fake in your mind that you are in deep sleep. The moment the mind has a thought, you tell mind, how can you recognize in deep sleep? No, no way. Any feeling? No, no feeling in deep sleep. Yes, no feeling in deep sleep. You're right. No feeling in deep sleep. And then you remain in that state. So, what happens? You instantly experience very deep calmness. And that stillness and the calmness is coming from our real self, here and now. Viveka, huh? Sharpen intellect, take intellect to discernment, take intellect to Viveka, for natural, for natural vairagya. So I'm using the word vairagya, but vairagya, in fact, uh, has a different understanding that you focus on the object outside. So that is why we see we have a rule of a sannyasi that you should keep a one bowl. You should not collect food items for today, only for today, not for tomorrow. You should not keep any money. You should have only two pairs or one pair of a clothes. You should not stay in a one house for more than 3 days. But these rules do not apply when you apply Manisha here. So it means what? When we live in that Manisha, we are also a monk, not less than a monk. Sometime maybe perhaps greater than a monk. Look at the Shiva who got married, who has son, who was totally appears engaged and involved with his kids and his wife. Look at the Krishna, Anasakti. Look at the Krishna. He did everything, and still he was known as the greatest yogi.